Hello and good day, everyone. It is the Wednesday episode of Daily Betslip, and we got a lot to talk about today because the World Series starts. Is it tomorrow or Friday? I think it's Friday.
Friday.
Big space between the Championship Series and the World Series, but we are going to talk that in our segment of the day and give it our World Series MVP pick as well. We got some NHL and NBA action to bet on tonight. And of course, we have community picks and our game of the night, which is the Brooklyn Nets against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm joined today by Ben Heisler, and I am wearing my brand new AJ Terrell jersey. So today's a good day.
Yeah, congrats on the new purchase. It looks excellent. We were having a fun conversation during our BetSided happy hour the other day about the best jerseys in sports and our personal favorites. The Falcons, I think, have had more hits than misses when it comes to the best jerseys in sports. Had that weird variant for a couple years. They immediately got rid of it, but those are nice. Those are sharp, Ian.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you're watching this, be sure to vote in the poll for game of the night so we can get the community pick. The community was on Warriors plus 1.5 last night. They got blown out. So the community now 0-2 this week in picks after picking the under on Monday Night Football. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, vote in the poll, and let's get into the show. Let's start with community picks for tonight. I believe we have 5. I think I want to say 3 NBA and 2 NHL possibly. So let's dive into the first one here. From Practical Picks, great follow on Twitter at @practical_picks. Denver minus 5.5. I assume that he is talking about the Denver Nuggets. Any player or any lean or any thoughts on the Denver Nuggets tonight, Ben?
Well, the Lakers have been notorious for just stinking up the joint, and you can't help but wonder that even though Russell Westbrook is not playing tonight, whether or not that leans in the direction of favoring Denver or actually helping out the Lakers. There's been all sorts of rumblings throughout the offseason of whether or not they should get rid of him and move on from Russ. It's just been a weird dynamic in LA. Right now, the Nuggets, though, they should have that reasonable favor, but Ian, they've looked terrible to start the year as well. Like a lot of lackluster performances. This is the team that I predicted to win the NBA Finals. So coming back home, looking for a bounce back, they need a strong game tonight. So I don't mind them at 5.5. I still think they're available at 5 at a handful of sports books as well.
Yep. Let's go Jamal Murray, Canadian. People forget. All right. Let's.
I know you
don't. No, I do not. I have a list of every Canadian athlete in the NBA on my desk right here.
I believe it.
That's basically all I can contribute to NBA talk is I'll just point out who's Canadian on each team. All right, let's get into the next community pick. Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton, I believe is his first name, over 19.5. This comes in from DJ at GoDJ. That's my DJ _ Tyrese Halliburton, I'm assuming this is points. So over 19.5 points for Tyrese Halliburton. Any thoughts on this one?
I don't mind the play. It's going up against Chicago that had a really good performance on Monday night. So there's almost an opportunity now for a letdown. Bulls defense played really, really well against Boston. And now you have a Pacers team that's projected to be one of the worst in the league. Halliburton seeing a ton of usage. The only reason I may not consider it is because Ayo Dosunmu, the Bulls' second-year guard out of Illinois, Chicago kid, has been really, really good defensively and just stepped up without Lonzo Ball. So if he draws the assignment on Halliburton, I actually do think he might struggle a little bit, but the usage is there for Halliburton to get over this number. So I understand the play. I don't know if I would necessarily go with it.
Halliburton is on the Pacers. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It was traded over in the Domantas Sabonis trade.
So shout out to O'Shea Brissett. Shout out to Benedict Mathurin, and shout out to Andrew Nembhard, who are 3 members of the Pacers who hail from the great country Canada. How about that?
This is a great running bit that I hope we do every single show.
All right, let's get into the next community pick. Give me an NHL one here so I can talk. But there we go. Sean Mitchelson coming in clutch for me. Blues Oilers under 6.5 -108. Teams played a 2-0 game on Saturday. Only 45 total shots in the game. Binnington surprisingly solid to start the season. 165 goals against average with a 940 save percentage. Blues offense has mustered only 2 goals in the last 2 games, so I will take the under. Yes, Jordan Binnington, the pride of Fredericton, New Brunswick, home of the UNB Varsity Reds. Go Reds. Yeah, I do like this bet. I have a different bet on this game that I'll get into a little bit later. But Blues historically a very good shooting team, but last couple of games, as Sean Mitchelson pointed out, they have struggled to find the back of the net. But then again, any under bet in a game involving the Oilers is a little bit risky with how potent that Oilers offense is. So I like a side in that game a little bit more, but if I were to bet on the total, I probably would go under. So best of luck to you, Sean. I like the pick. But like I said, I'll give out my pick for that game here in a little bit. I got 3 NHL bets coming up, but we still have a couple community picks to get to. So let's bring up the next one. Kendall at Win with Kendall. I think this is the first community pick submitted by a woman. Great to see. Let's see more of that in the future. She says, can't believe I'm saying it, but Lakers plus 5.5. So she is going up against Practical Picks, who was the first community pick who was on Denver. So can you make any case for the Lakers, Ben?
So I was reading up on a few elements about this game, and for all the narrative about Russell Westbrook not being on the floor is a good thing for the Lakers. They basically have the same net rating when he's on the court versus when he's off of it. But there has been a lot of movement towards the Lakers side. So, if you're getting them in plus 5.5, that's probably a decent place to be. Start off at 7, but it's also really difficult, Ian, for teams to play in Denver in the altitude. So I'm still leaning on the Nuggets here, but if you're going with the idea that the Lakers more desperate, 0-3, have struggled offensively and now go up against a bad Nuggets defense, then this is the game to go ahead and bet the Lakers. But at this point, you might as well try and take the value on the money line as opposed to thinking that they're going to cover, because they just haven't been a good covering team this year.
Will the Lakers make the playoffs?
I'll say they sneak into the play-in game, which at this point, it doesn't really matter. They're not a good basketball team. Like, even if they move on from Russ and get some pieces, I don't know who's giving up anything unless the Lakers just eat a bunch of salary, and the NBA doesn't really allow for much of that to happen. So they're just not good. So I'll say they get into one of the 10 possible spots. How about that?
Do you know what the Lakers truly need to take the next step?
They need LeBron to not be the general manager of the team and to actually surround him with outside shooting, because the Lakers can't make 3-pointers to save their life. So that would be a start.
Possibly that. I was going to say sign a Canadian player because the Lakers have 0 Canadians on their team.
Yeah. How did whoever won the NBA Finals last year? Golden State has Andrew Wiggins. So
Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. All right. Well,
it's the key to success. All right. I think we have one more community pick. I think it's another NHL pick. Daryl Kerr at Daryl Kerr, Lightning money line, like Lightning in Anaheim to take on the Ducks. I have a pick for that game as well. Lightning only small favorites here, at least as of this morning. I'm going to get some updated odds here right now. Yeah, minus 162, so it's grown a little bit, but this Lightning team stumbled out of the gates, but we kind of saw that from them last year. They're kind of so used to just winning the Eastern Conference that they didn't perform well in the regular season last year, but then went on and won the Eastern Conference anyway. So it's like as if to them, they just know they're going to win in the playoffs. So it's like, why even win now in the regular season? But I like the pick. I will get into that a little bit more. I'll just say now I am on the same side. I'll break down my reasoning when I get to the Lightning pick here in a little bit. But speaking of which, let's actually get into our best bets for tonight, since that is the end of the community picks. Best of luck to everyone who submitted one, and thank you for submitting them. But you have 3 NBA picks. I have 2 or 3 NHL picks, and then we also have an NBA pick at the end of the night, or at the end of the show, for the game of the night, which is the Nets against the Bucks. I placed my first NBA bet last night on the game of the night, Warriors Suns, and I lost. So I'm 0-1 in NBA picks this year. Need to get back to 500 tonight.
Well, first of all, I mean, we have plenty of resources for you right here at BetSided. Peter Dewey's NBA picks have been dominating so far this year. Our team's NBA prop picks, Ian, gotten off to a flying hot start. So I appreciate you dipping your toe into the NBA waters. I know that your team, hashtag not an NBA guy, but we're here for you. We are a community at BetSided. So might as well just start tailing some of us, and then we can go ahead and get you ready.
I will do that, and I recommend anyone who is watching to do that and to not follow my picks. But for the sake of the show, I do a little bit of research. I'll come up with a pick every now and then. I'm still lobbying for the game of the nights to be NHL games, but no luck. Seems like we're sticking to NBA games. So with that being said, let's dive into our best bets for tonight. Why don't you start us off, Ben? We'll alternate back and forth. Give me your first NBA pick for tonight.
All right, we're going to go full on arena picks tonight, back and forth. So I'm going to start with the New York Knickerbockers, -7 tonight. If you can still find it at that number, at home against the Charlotte Hornets. Knicks have been very good at home. Granted, they've also won these two games in blowout fashion against two of the bottom feeders in Orlando and Detroit, but I like them against Charlotte. It's a team that Charlotte, even though they're missing three key players on their roster in LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, and Cody Martin, it's still been pretty good offensively. That's not going to be the case against the Knicks tonight. The Knicks come in with the 5th best defensive rating in the league. You're also missing, with those three guys out, a combined 47.1 points per game, 14.6 assists per game, and 13.9 rebounds per game. New York's gotten a lot of what they've exactly needed from Jalen Brunson coming over. He's given him 17 points, 7 assists. Julius Randle, it's opened up the floor for him, both as a rebounder and as a scorer for them. They're just a more complete team that are playing really well at home and are locked in defensively. And I think that's an issue right now for Charlotte, even though the numbers on the offensive side of the ball look good in the early going. They come into New York. New York is well rested. They have much better depth. I think Charlotte runs out of gas tonight with a lot of these players missing. So I like New York at -7.
All right, there you go. Knicks -7. Is it in Charlotte or in New York?
It is in New York.
I have yet to be to a Knicks game. I got to cross that off my list this year for sure. It will not be tonight, though. Not going to go watch them play the Hornets. Maybe when the Raptors are in town.
There you go.
But let me switch over to NHL here. My first pick for tonight. Speaking of New York, it is the Battle of New York tonight. It is the New York Rangers against the New York Islanders. And I love this pick. This is probably my favorite of my 3 bets in the NHL tonight. I'm going to go over 6, -110 here between the Rangers and the Islanders. When you think of these teams, you usually think of good defensive play the past few years and also good goaltending. But the Islanders specifically have not been good defensively this season. 30th in expected goals against per 60 minutes at 3.14. And then on the other side of things, you are probably saying, Ian, how are you taking an over in a game that involves Igor Shesterkin? Well, not so fast, my friends. Doesn't look like Igor Shesterkin will be starting tonight because it is the back end of a back-to-back for the Rangers. He played last night. I don't think it's confirmed yet, but I believe Jaroslav Halak will be in net for the Rangers. So with Halak in net, just like Georgiev when he was in net for the Rangers when Shesterkin was sidelined last year, you can expect some goals to happen. Rangers have been great offensively. Islanders have been decent offensively, but not, like I said, the Islanders usually have the past few years played like a modified trap version of hockey that's been very boring and very defensive. Has not been the case so far this year. One of the worst defensive teams in the NHL. So I like goals to be scored in the Battle of New York tonight. Give me the over 6.
Jaroslav Halak, 37 years old. I remember when he first broke into the league. Like, this was a guy that's had a cup of coffee or two around the NHL for quite some time. Do you remember what team he debuted with, Ian?
Was it the Islanders?
No. Canadian team, the Montreal Canadiens.
Wow.
2006, 2007 was his first year in the league. He had that great year in St. Louis, too, where he had a goals against average of 197. That was a pretty spectacular year for him.
Yes, I'm looking at it. Yeah, so he did play for the Islanders, so I didn't completely dream that up. But that was much later in his career. I did not remember that he started with the Les Habitants. Interesting stuff. Yeah, Jaroslav Halak. He's been around.
Yeah, few times around the block for Jaroslav Halak. Couple teams that have not been around the block when it comes to a lot of success over the last handful of years, the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to go ahead and take a stinky low under in this game, one of the early tip-off games in the NBA tonight. Took the under at 215. It's since gone down. Actually, no, I take that back. Line is still available at 215. Even one book has actually taken it in the other direction. So I might be on the wrong side of the Sharps, but let me see if I can make my argument for why I think this is an ideal spot for the under. You have a Magic team that basically is owned. Well, they are owned for. And they have Paolo Banchero, the #1 overall pick in the draft. And he's looked excellent. He's actually tied Elvin Hayes and Oscar Robertson with 4 straight games of 20-plus points to begin his NBA career. But the odds makers don't think he's going to do much in the way of scoring tonight. They've placed his over-under at 18.5. And it's going up against the Cavaliers defense that's long, lengthy, really talented on the defensive side of the ball. They rank 4th in the NBA this year in defensive rating, top 7 in opponent effective field goal percentage. And they've looked really dominant in their 3 games against pretty quality teams in the Eastern Conference in Toronto, Chicago, and then again in Washington. I know Donovan Mitchell can be a bit of a sieve sometimes when it comes to his defensive presence, but there's enough guys around him that can really step up defensively for them. And I just think Orlando is still trying to figure their identity out. Banchero's been great, but if you start to neutralize him with a really good defense, I just don't know what the rest of the team is able to do from the offensive side of the ball. So I'm going under 215 with this total on the board tonight. Just too much Cavaliers, and especially if they get off to a large lead, they can sit some guys, and basically you're not going to see a whole lot of offense from either side. Maybe late in the fourth quarter.
Yes, Paulo Banchero drafted 1st overall by the Orlando Magic in the 2022 NBA draft. You know who was drafted 32nd overall by the Orlando Magic in the 2022 NBA draft? A fella by the name of Caleb Houston from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. So shout out to him.
Shout out to the Ontarian. Is it an Ontarian?
I think so.
Okay.
That works.
Okay. Because the other name I wasn't going to try to pronounce.
Mississaugan. He's a Mississaugan boy. All right. That brings me to my next NHL pick. I'm kind of already sick of this bit, by the way, of me just listing Canadians on NBA teams. I've annoyed myself by it already. My next NHL pick is between the Oilers and Blues. I mentioned earlier with someone entered in their pick for this game. I think it was Sean Mitchelson was on the under. I'm going to go with the Oilers money line here. Blues 3-1 to start the season, but the numbers are telling me that we're going to see some regression from their record here soon because advanced analytics have not been good for the Blues. 29th in 5-on-5 Corsi percentage, 23rd in expected goals for per 60 minutes, 24th in expected goals against per 60 minutes. Those are the type of numbers that give me a lot of confidence in this Blues team. So I'll take the Oilers at pick-em odds here. They're minus 110, minus 120 at some books here. So I just think the Blues aren't as good as their record. So I'll fade them in this spot. I'll take the Oilers.
Yeah, seems like a perfectly reasonable play, and especially knowing St. Louis's style of play. Yeah, I don't mind the Oilers here at all.
All right, so you have one more NBA pick to give out.
I do. Let's go with a prop in the late game for anybody chasing down a possible late night NBA pick between the Miami Heat, the struggling Miami Heat at 1-3, going up against the Portland Trailblazers with Damian Lillard back, are 4-0 this year. They're at home. Always been a big opportunity to have home court advantage in Portland. But I'm going to go with a prop in this game and take Bam Adebayo's total rebounds at over 8.5. I think you can sum up the Heat's struggles in the early portion of the season in 2 different ways with regards to Bam Adebayo. So offensively, he's just kind of been all over the place, just not consistent, not attacking the way that he can. You're talking about like a perfect modern NBA who can play all over the court. Just hasn't been clicking offensively, and his jump shot has been struggling. But when he is off the court, according to @HeatNationCom on Twitter, teams have outscored the Miami Heat by more than 30 points per 100 possessions when he's not on the court. You have Portland team whose true shooting percentage is top 5 in the league. And with Miami struggling the way that they are, they need Adebayo to play quality minutes, and they also need him to attack the pass, clog up the lane a little bit, be able to move along the perimeter, force some more contested shots, and then get back and rebound for him. He needs to be aggressive for Miami to have a chance in this game. Clearly, they're a smart team that looks at a lot of the advanced analytics and numbers, and they understand that when Adebayo's off the floor, they're going to struggle defensively. Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the league. I think they're going to make those adjustments. And Portland can go through these moments where they tend to be a little bit lackadaisical and take some wide outside shots, and Adebayo should be right there to clean it up. I think 8.5 is too little for the amount of time that he's going to play on the court. They need him to clean up. I really like this opportunity for him. May also sprinkle on Adebayo to get a double-double in this game as well.
There you go. Bam Adebayo over 8.5 rebounds. I've stuck with this bit too long, so I'll do it one more time. I'm never bringing this bit back. Shout out to Shaden Sharp, who's the only Canadian playing in this game for the Portland Trail Blazers. The number 7th overall pick in this year's NBA draft, hailing from London, Ontario.
My NBA Rookie of the Year pick at 36-1.
There you go. Great job. He's a Canadian.
It's not know if it's a great job yet. If 4 games into the season, we'll see. I mean, right now it's Banchero or bust for I think everybody, but weirder things have happened.
Cole Feehan chimes in, says, Ian, how are you feeling about your Falcons playing the dreaded Panthers this Sunday? They did just beat a deadly quote unquote Buccaneers team. I'm on my Falcons. To be honest, I've looked at them. Their statistics have dropped off the past couple of weeks, so I'm a little bit nervous about them. But hey, we are one game. Well, not even. We're still tied with the Buccaneers. They have the tiebreaker atop the NFC South. So I did bet on the Falcons to win the NFC South this week at 4-1. We got to beat the Panthers, especially at home. So I'm feeling okay. I mean,
did we both take the Falcons in our Survivor write-up this week? I'm struggling now because I think I might pivot towards the Cowboys, especially with the Bears trading Robert Quinn. But I think you and I both wrote up the Falcons as a potential Survivor pick this week.
I believe I did write the Falcons, I think. But I will say in my Survivor pool, I'm not going to be taking the Falcons because
don't have that.
Like I talked about yesterday.
Yet.
There's 21 people left for a lot of money on the line, and I can't risk taking the Falcons and then have them break my heart and be the reason why I lose $25,000. So just for that reason alone, objectively, I think the Falcons are a good Survivor pick if you don't want to take one of the top teams like the Bills or the Eagles, but I will not be doing it. I just can't stomach that because if I take them, they'll lose. All right, I got one more NHL pick for tonight. There's only 3 games, so I got one pick for every game. The last game I'm looking at here, Lightning and Ducks. I'm taking Lightning minus 140 here. The Ducks stink. Lightning just lost in Los Angeles against the Kings last night. Only small favorites. Well, not small. I think it's all the way up to like minus 160, but Anaheim Ducks ranked dead last in the NHL in 5-on-5 expected goals against at 3.44. You can't be that bad defensively against this Lightning team. They'll just completely light up the scoreboard against you. So this is just a big time fade of the Ducks. Yes, the Lightning have kind of stumbled out of the gates this season, only at 3-4, but the talent gap, the skill gap is just too wide between these two teams, especially on the defensive end for the Ducks. So I will take the Lightning on the money line against the Anaheim Ducks. And that is our best bets for tonight. Let's go ahead and bring up the recap graphic. I'm on over 6 between the Rangers, Islanders, Oilers money line, minus 110 against the Blues, and Lightning minus 140. I will say it's up to, I think, minus 160-ish now. I still like it at that price against the Ducks. Ben, you're on the Knicks minus 7, under 215 for the Magic and Cavs, and over 8.5 rebounds for Bam Adebayo. Now let's talk World Series really quick, and then we'll talk game of the night, which is the Nets and the Bucks. But let's talk about the World Series. It starts Friday. We got a pick each and also our bet to win World Series MVP. And I think we're both kind of taking guys who are a little bit off the board here for MVP. Yeah, we certainly are. So let's get our pick to win out the right way. I'll go first here. Before the playoffs started, I bet on the Phillies to win the National League. I bet on the Astros to win the World Series. So everything is going good so far. Wow. I will continue to stick with the Astros to win this series. The Phillies have been a great story. The Phillies have been a hot team, which is why I took them to win the National League. But I just don't think they have the rotation to stick with the Astros. If the Astros win either of the Nola start or the Wheeler start, the Phillies are in deep, deep trouble because they don't have the back-end rotation that's going to hang with the Astros. The Astros have enough good pitchers. They could have like 2 starting rotations and still be like their second starting rotation would still be one of the better ones in Major League Baseball. But I will say if the Phillies can win both their Wheeler and Nola starts, they're in a very good spot. But they lose one of those games, they're in trouble. And the Astros bullpen is just significantly better. So I like the Astros to win this series. And also, last note about the Phillies. I'm on the Phillies bandwagon. I'm cheering for them. My heart is cheering for them. But let's be honest, they did have a little bit of an easy path. They did have a very impressive win against the Braves, but they beat a slumping Cardinals team in the wild card round. They had a very good win against the Braves, but then got the chance to take on the Padres in the NLCS, which was a pretty easy championship series for them. So Now they have to take on who I think is the best team that they're going to face in the playoffs. I think the Astros are better than the Braves, so I think.
Yeah, it's hard to argue the rationale behind taking the favorite here. The Astros are the more complete team. They have the best top of the line rotation starter in Verlander, and even though Wheeler and Nola have been terrific, Nola actually led all of baseball in pitcher wins above replacement this year, which is no shortage of an impressive quality. And he's going in Game 1 against Verlander, which just got announced today. I still am going to lean with the Phillies because I do think even with a team being hot and having some days off, Houston has too, and they can thump with the Astros as well. And there's enough talent offensively that I think they can cause some problems for some of the Astros guys in the middle of their rotation. Besides Verlander, I mean, guys like Framber Valdez, who's been so consistent all year, still gave up some hard contact, and the Phillies can hit the ball deep off of anybody. So Valdez doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Luis Garcia looked really good out of the bullpen. Christian Javier's had some strong moments as well, but these are good pitchers. They're not elite level pitchers. And I think about the team that our producer and director Joanne Woodcock used to work for in Arizona, where you had two elite guys at the top of the rotation back in 2001, Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson for the Arizona Diamondbacks when they took down that 2001 Yankees team. Now, I'm not saying that Wheeler and Nola are Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling, but they are very, very good starters. And with the amount of rest that they're able to have leading up to the course of these games, and Wheeler getting an extra day of rest as he's likely going to go in Game 2, I just think the hitting right now for the Phillies is so balanced. You have guys from both sides of the plate. They're hitting for power. They're not afraid of the Astros. And especially if they can steal one in Houston, coming back to Philadelphia, that's going to be a hell of an environment. So I do think the underdog in Philadelphia is in play. And we've seen the Astros last couple times they've gone to the World Series fall just a little bit short. So makes sense for me that I think the Phillies can go ahead and possibly steal a World Series from the better team here.
All right, so there you have it. We are on opposite sides to win the World Series. So that means I assume we are on opposite teams in terms of our picks to win World Series MVP as well. So I'll go first. I'll go with not someone who's not quite as much of a dark horse as your pick, but Jeremy Pena for the Houston Astros here. Very easy, simple reasoning why I'm taking him. Of all Astros batters, he has the highest OPS in the postseason. At 990, he's also hit already 3 home runs in 7 games. So the same reason why I bet the Phillies to win the National League. Sometimes you just got to back a hot team or a hot player. And right now, Jeremy Pena is the hottest player, or at least the hottest bat on the Houston Astros. So 14-1, a little bit further down the odds list. I like him quite a bit. And 18-1. I don't know if I just said 18 or 4, but 18-1 to win World Series MVP. So that is my pick from the Astros, and you are going with a Philly.
I am. I'm going with a deep drive to left field, and that'll be a home run for Nick Castellanos. This is a guy that's available at 40-1 at several sports books, and I'm not entirely sure why, because he put up quality numbers over the course of the postseason. He was actually third on the Phillies in total hits. Obviously, Bryce Harper stole the show, and Rhys Hoskins hit a bunch of home runs, but how the lineup has been set up is Castellanos is sitting right behind Harper in the lineup. And if Harper continues to be locked in at the plate, Dusty Baker's just not going to pitch to him. And so if you put Harper on, the guy that's the biggest benefactor and beneficiary to that is Nick Castellanos. He's a good contact hitter, a guy that's going to be able to deliver with plenty of clutch hits. He's done it before over the course of his career. He hasn't been much of a power option, but all of a sudden, a guy with a strong right-handed stroke goes over into Houston, pops one over the Crawford boxes. He also has plenty of experience playing in that park from his time in Detroit. I just think he's going to see a ton of fastballs, and he can deliver, especially if Harper remains that threat in the cleanup spot. You put Castellanos in 5, and you're looking at a guy that's going to see plenty of quality pitches at 40-1 odds. So, yeah, the Phillies need to win the World Series, but I mean, Jorge Soler won World Series MVP a season ago. He had some opportunities at the top of the lineup, hit a couple big home runs, and next thing you know, he's your World Series MVP. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the big name guy, as you and I are both alluding to. I think Castellanos is in a really good spot here, especially if Harper continues to be locked in and Dusty wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I feel like more often than not, it's not the big name guy who ends up winning World Series MVP. So it's certainly an area that I think there is some betting value. But obviously, the obvious pick if you want to go Phillies is Bryce Harper because he has just been lights out in the postseason. I think he is second he has an OPS of 1.351 in the postseason. That is just insane. 5 home runs, 11 in 11 games. That's crazy. All right, so there you go. Those are our World Series and World Series MVP picks. Let's finish up really quick with the game of the night, NBA Brooklyn Nets against the Milwaukee Bucks. Two teams who, obviously Bucks are a contender. We don't really know what we're getting from the Nets just quite yet. Why don't you start us off here? What's your best bet for this game?
I think Milwaukee covers, even though Kevin Durant has played very, very well in this game. I saw from your friend and fellow Canadian Gilles Gallant that he loves Kevin Durant to get a double-double tonight. Had it at plus 450. I've seen it go down to plus 300. Durant has done it in, I think, 8 of his last 13 games against the Bucks. So still really good value there. But I'm going to go with a guy with the most punchable face in the NBA, and that's Grayson Allen. You might want to punch him in the face, but the man can shoot, and you can shoot from the outside. And especially against a bad Brooklyn defense, who's bottom 3 right now in defensive rating in the league, Allen is getting up a bunch of shots. The Bucks play fast, and you're going to see some high scoring totals. It may not necessarily go full on over in this game, but Allen right now is in a very good spot to be able to clear the over 12.5 points. Still available at 12 at a couple books, although I've seen it move to 13.5 and 14.5 at a couple as well. So give me Grayson Allen over 12.5 points, and let's hope the punchable face is able to exceed expectations for us tonight.
All right, and I'm also going to go with a player prop. I tried Steph Curry under assist last night. It didn't work out for me. Let me go a little bit of a different direction. Let me go Brook Lopez over 5.5 rebounds for a little plus money prop bet at plus 115. Once again, with me not being a huge NBA guy, my NBA handicapping is really quite simple, especially with player props. Just look at how good or how bad teams are in certain areas. And the Brooklyn Nets second last in the National Basketball Association right now in rebounding percentage, only grabbing 45.4% of rebounds. So I think the Nets or the Bucks rebounders are going to have a chance to grab a few boards tonight.
Like it.
Brook Lopez over 5.5 rebounds at plus 115 for a little plus money prop. And the community poll pick is in, and they're on Bucks -4 against the Nets. Ben, if you did have to go with the side here, would you go with the Bucks or would you lean more towards the Nets?
Yeah, it's a chalky play and it's a public side, but what have the Brooklyn Nets shown anybody so far this year that they're on the road against a Milwaukee team that's looked excellent? And Giannis is putting up MVP numbers in the early going to make you feel like all of a sudden they're just going to wake up and start defending. They haven't done it over the course of the season. This team still feels like they're trying to figure out what they want to do and how and what kind of team they want to be. So I'll probably take Milwaukee if I have to lean towards the side. Money's moved a little bit towards Brooklyn, but again, I need to see a little bit more for me to actually feel confident in the bet.
All right. The community needs a win. 0-2 this week. Let's not drop to 0-3 community. So I will trust you tonight. I will back the Bucks -4 along with my Brook Lopez pick. Let's go. Let's have a big night. There you have it, everyone. Couple NHL picks, couple NBA picks, some community picks. Best of luck to everyone with your bets tonight. Be sure to check out the early read, which went live yesterday. Reed Wallach and Ben, I believe you're on the show this week. The two of you gave out your best college football picks for week 9 of the season. Tomorrow, Daily Betslip will be back at 5 p.m. It'll be myself, it'll be Donovan Smoot, and special guest Taylor Mathis will be joining me to talk World Series, World Series, and of course Thursday night football. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we got the Baltimore Ravens. So great show in store tomorrow. Be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe. Ben, closing thoughts.
Fun NBA slate, fun NHL slate, even with the limited amount. And Ian, we got World Series baseball coming up in the next couple days. Sports, not what is it called? Not the eclipse, but
Equinox.
Sports Equinox. Enjoy it while we still can, because it's a beautiful time of the year.
Absolutely. And Bermuda Championship starts tomorrow as well. One of the worst fields I've ever seen in a professional golf tournament, but I got picks for that. So head over to BetSided to see my best bets for that as well.
Plus
Thank you all.
250, plus or 250 to 1 on one of the bigger long shot. Was it Akshay?
Yeah, Akshay Batar. Probably
Yeah.
mispronouncing his name, but yes, he seems to be a popular pick. Not one I'm on this week.
Yeah, I threw a little pizza money on him at 250 to 1 because one in Rome.
Hey, if you're going to bet on a long shot in a golf tournament, do it this week because your betting favorite to win the Bermuda Championship is Denny McCarthy.
I thought he was a NASCAR driver.
Yeah, I think maybe it is a NASCAR driver. I think there is.
No,
I think there is a
Denny McCarthy. He can putt.
But I think there is. Is there a NASCAR driver with a similar name?
Denny Hamlin, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
there's another guy with McCarthy. No, Denny McCarthy, one of the better putters on tour, but rest of his game is very meh.
Denny McCarthy, Seamus Power, Mark Hubbard, Justin Lauer, and Thomas Detry. Your top 5. Yeah, it's tough. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Good luck tonight. I'll talk to you then.